I did not rig it. Let's go.
I did not vote for Donald Trump in 2016. I am voting for Donald Trump in 2020. There are 3 reasons I'm going to vote for Donald Trump in 2020 when I didn't 4 years ago. First, I was simply wrong about Donald Trump on policy. Second, I wasn't really wrong about Donald Trump on character, but whatever damage he was going to do has already been done, and it's not going to help if I don't vote for him this time. And third, most importantly, the Democrats have lost their minds. So, first of all, Donald Trump has governed.
What? Democrats have lost their minds? What do you mean, dude? They're like bigger pussies than they've ever been. Oh, this is so good. This is good.
Pretty conservatively. I thought he would not be conservative in his governance.
Stop saying,
I was just wrong on that. Donald Trump radically cut regulation. You actually saw reductions in the number of man-hours dedicated to dealing with regulation for the first time in a long time under Donald Trump. He appointed originalist judges to the best of his ability. We're talking dozens.
Dude, oh, God. You have to admit that at least Ben Shabibo is honest. Like, he is so fucking annoying, but he is honest. Like, he's like, Donald Trump cut regulations. Like, you're not going to hear, like, it's such a boring thing to be like, I like Donald Trump because he did that, but he is right. Donald Trump did cut regulations. It's such a weird fucking wormy reason to vote for Donald Trump. But it's certainly a real one.
Of them, textualist, originalist judges who actually care about the role of the judiciary. He cut taxes, jogging the economy, raising it to heights not seen in half a century, the lowest unemployment rate in half a century, people having their wages rise at the bottom of the spectrum. He appointed pro-life people to the executive branch and pursued pro-life policy via executive order. He dumped out of the idiotic Paris Accords, which were useless and counterproductive. He dumped the even more idiotic and evil Iran deal, which gave money to the Iranian mullahs to use for terrorism, as John Kerry freely admitted. Donald Trump crushed ISIS. He killed al-Baghdadi. He killed Qasem Soleimani. Donald Trump is the first president of my lifetime not to start any new wars, which is a kind of big thing. He moved the American embassy.
Wait, I'm sorry. Since when has Ben not a fucking bloodthirsty neocon? Wait, Ben is no longer pro-war? I'm confused.
This is a deranged.
Wait, what?
Pervert.
Hassle.
Wait, hold up. Ben no longer likes war in the Middle East? Wait. But you just talked about how dope it was that he executed Qasem Soleimani.
This is a deranged pervert.
Hassan?
The only reason why that didn't turn into a war is because Iran is not necessarily in a good position to fight America right now, especially because COVID happened fairly quickly after that. So they were low-key dealing with that.
In Israel to Jerusalem, he brokered the first meaningful peace deals there in 3 decades in the Middle East. He cracked down on China in unprecedented ways. He's resisted using the federal government to control everybody's life during COVID. That's a big thing. This is the biggest government power grab of my lifetime, and Trump refused to do it. Donald Trump restored due process on college campuses because he actually cares about due process, or at least his Secretary of Education does. Contrary to
Donald Trump cares about due process? Donald Trump literally pardoned more people that were close to him during his presidency. Like, he didn't even wait for the end of his presidency to pardon all of his homies. Like, he literally fucking pardoned friends of his, or just people who were kind of racist. He extrajudicially killed people. He talked openly about how dope it was that he executed Michael Rennell in Washington. That was weird for him to say. Also, power grabs. Donald Trump literally used federal agents, like ICE agents, BORTAC units, in what is declared as Constitution-free zones, according to the ACLU, 100 miles inland from any border or sea line. Donald Trump utilized his BORTAC, Special Weapons and Tactics federal agents, against protesters. That's pretty fascist, dude. I mean, incredibly fascist. Unmarked federal agents were kidnapping people. Weird that, but in Ben Shabibo's eyes, that's still minimal government. Kind of odd.
Very popular opinion. Donald Trump has not actually threatened the institutions. The fact is that Donald
Trump has undermined all of the institutions. Not that, like, those institutions had any sort of legitimacy to begin with, but he absolutely did undermine all of these institutions. He purposely put Betsy DeVos, completely unqualified, which Ben Shabibo just said he liked, as the Secretary of State to cripple that federal agency from within, that federal institution from within. Same with Scott Pruitt and the EPA, Rick Perry originally. Donald Trump expanded on the surveillance state, just like Barack Obama did before him. Donald Trump kept drone striking everyone, just like Barack Obama did before him. Donald Trump greatly expanded the power of ICE agencies, unshackled them from any sort of restriction whatsoever, to unleash brutality upon every brown person on U.S. soil, as long as they were undocumented, or maybe they thought that they were undocumented. Donald Trump did also lock up documented U.S. citizens under the suspicion that they might be undocumented. So there was that too. Every single thing that Ben Shapiro has said so far is a complete lie, a complete fabrication, a farce, phony. Ben Shapiro is lying. He's lying because he's lying about the reasons for why he's voting for Donald Trump. The real reason why he's voting for Donald Trump is everything I just mentioned. Ben Shabibo likes those things, but most importantly, he does care about deregulation, and he does care about unchecked corporate power. And that's precisely why Ben Shabibo is voting for Donald Trump, and why he probably should have voted for him in 2016 as well. After all, I don't think I'm as smart or as intelligent as Ben is, but even I knew with my himbo mind all the way back in 2015 that Donald Trump was just a regular Republican. And then later down his administration, I even argued with neoliberals about how successful of a president Donald Trump had been, because he was very successful for the Republican agenda, of course. Rampant deregulation, undermining federal institutions, starving the beast from within, and most importantly, gigantic tax cuts for the corporations and the wealthy. Great stuff. But looking forward to Ben Shabibo, if Joe Biden does end up winning, looking forward to Ben Shabibo talk about how much he cares about the deficit, even though Donald Trump nearly tripled that. But hey, what the fuck do I know?
Donald Trump may have been hemmed in by his own people. Whatever the rationale, he has not threatened the press. He has not threatened the legislature.
Everyone screams fake news at his rallies and wants to lock up journalists, but that's certainly something that we made up, right? Fake news, right? Totally made up. Donald Trump did not threaten the press.
Such a big man, Hasan.
He has time and time again talked about how he wants to expand on pre-existing libel laws and enforce them on the press, but sure.
He has not used the executive branch in nearly as powerful ways as Barack Obama did. Trump hasn't been as conservative as I would like on everything. He's spent way too much money, like oodles too much money. I actually care about that stuff. His perspective on trade is a zero-sum game. I think it's wrong-headed. He still signed into law the USMCA, which is a pretty good trade deal.
I was saying Ben Shabibo is honest in regards to Donald Trump being a very successful Republican, but that doesn't mean that he's going to be honest about why Donald Trump is good. Ben Shabibo likes Donald Trump because Donald Trump is a successful Republican. As long as he says that, and most other Republicans won't even admit to that, then I'm fine with that. I'm happy with that. That's the reality. Republicans love Donald Trump. The reason why they do love Donald Trump is because he is a Republican, and a very successful one at that. The reason why I hate and I despise Never Trump Republicans is because they're liars. They're Weasley little liars.
His name is Hasan.
Donald Trump is a very successful Republican. Always has been.
But these are problems I've had with a variety of Republicans, including George W. Bush. Trump has governed overall in a far more conservative fashion than W on policy. He is the most conservative president of my lifetime on policy. Of course, Ronald Reagan left office when I was 4 years old. Second, times change. When I said I wouldn't vote for Trump in 2016, I was worried about three things. One, policy. Again, I was wrong. Second, I was worried about the soul sucking of the Republican Party to approve bad behavior. people nodding and grinning at bad stuff Trump did.
His name
A lot of that has
is
happened.
Hasan.
And third, I was worried about
Unstable
toxicity
levels
down
of
ballot,
being
right?
detected.
Losing House seats, losing Senate seats, blowing out the Republican Party.
Did that not happen? I mean, that did happen. The only reason why it didn't happen in the Senate is because of the inequality built into the Senate that literally happened in 2018. Did Ben forget that that happened, or?
With minorities and women and young people.
Oh, he
a lot
said
of
it did?
A lot of that has happened. And third, I was worried about toxicity down ballot, right? Losing House seats, losing Senate seats, blowing out the Republican Party with minorities and women and young people. A lot of that has manifested.
Oh,
But
okay.
here's the thing. It's already manifested. And me not voting for Trump in 2020 doesn't stop that from manifesting.
This is
Like,
an
I've been
arranged
very, very clear on my
permanent-
feelings about
Okay.
Donald Trump's character. I have serious reservations, to say the least. Trump has some good qualities, right? He's a hammer in search of a nail. Sometimes he hits a nail. It's super satisfying. And sometimes he hits a baby, and it is far less satisfying. Trump hitting the media, it's often justified.
This is pretty funny because the hammer nail analogy expanded on this like that is hilariously true. Because Ben is admitting that as long as you hit some nails, it's fine if you kill a couple fucking babies if you
name
bludgeon
is
them to death with your
Hasan.
hammer.
Hug
And
your
that is
Italian
true.
hands.
That's exactly the sociopathic calculation that Republicans make when they advocate for the Republican agenda, no matter who is doing the Republican agenda. This is why Republicans have historically, or rather conservatives, let's not say Republicans, but conservatives philosophically and historically have sided with fascists. This is why neoliberals, and even liberals for that matter, centrist liberals, have historically sided with fascists, because as long as there is less regulation overall, and as long as
Hello,
the
Mr.
bottom line
Hassan.
is protected, as
Happy
long as the
3
profit
months.
margins year over year are increasing, then they're fine. They don't really care if babies are getting bludgeoned to death on the side as a consequence. So this is a correct take. There is brutal honesty in Ben Shabibo's take right here.
I mean, the media have exposed themselves as just a pure
His
dumpster
name
fire of
is
leftist garbage.
Hasan.
They've treated him as an enemy from the very first day. They've promulgated false narratives. They've lied about things that he has said. They have taken the worst interpretation of everything he could possibly have said. That doesn't mean that Trump hasn't.
By the way, the hilarity of what Ben Shapiro is talking about when he concedes that Donald Trump has undermined the Republican Party, and he lies about a bunch of stuff as far as like not talking about the devastating impact of Donald Trump as the president. The hilarity here is he's basically saying Donald Trump has done all of his brutality, so I'm voting for him because he can't do any more. And that's just patently false. Donald Trump, without any fear of re-election, has no stopgap. Absolutely nothing stopping him from completely destroying this country more than he has in the first 4 years. I mean, he literally advocated for completely eradicating the income taxes, the most important funding vehicle for Social Security and Medicare and Medicaid. So, of course, to Ben, none of that matters because he is a dipshit libertarian who gets paid to promote these sorts of ideas and basically repeat whatever the fuck is coming down the pipeline from all the way from the Heritage Foundation and the American Enterprise Institute. This is literally what he does. And make that more tolerable, I guess, or say it really fast, like blurt out those talking points and gish gallop really fast so that a bunch of STEM lords, payroll tax, yes, a bunch of STEM lords can turn around and be like, yeah, this guy seems smart because he seems just as out of touch and
His
as
name
sociopathic
is
as myself.
Hasan.
So that's the entire shtick for Ben Shabibo, and morons will keep thinking that he is an intellectual, even though he is anything but. Let's keep going.
Hasn't been
Oh,
vindictive
you're such a
or petty
big
or immoral.
man,
He does all
Hassan.
those things. Trump being unable to focus and willing to jump on any rake is not just immoral, it is very often stupid and counterproductive. I mean, you know my opinion on this. Everybody knows, okay, deep down in the cockles of your heart, no matter how much you love Trump, everybody knows the Trump administration, with Trump on teleprompter more often and less on Twitter, would be in a position to win the 2020 election more easily. Everybody also knows that Trump's tweets damage him with people who don't already love him.
Like, it's great. He's basically saying, like, yeah, his tweets are bad and it's annoying and he's rude, but who gives a fuck? He's a conservative through and through. He's the most conservative. And Ben is right. Ben is absolutely right about this. This is why I despise the Lincoln Project people who otherwise would love Donald Trump and would regard him as one of the best presidents of all time, but they don't like him because Donald Trump oftentimes gives the game away. He talks about the underlying reasons for why they're making actions like this, and does it without a single care. When he says, like, we're going to protect the suburbs, he can at any given moment turn around and literally be like, well, it's because black people. He hasn't said it thus far, but he has done that with immigration, for example. Immigration policy is really important for Donald Trump, right? Or for the MAGA crowd. And he doesn't just say, oh, we have to do this as a consequence of national security. He will literally openly be like, Mexicans are rapists and they're literal fucking criminals and animals, and that's why we need to take care of them. And that is why the Lincoln Project and other Never Trump Republicans who want to maintain their presence in liberal circles have a hard time coming to terms with that and have to be like, well, that's wrong. I'm faced with the reality now of who I vote for and what I'm voting for and who these other people are on my side. And that's precisely why they care more about their status in elite liberal circles more than they care about the conservative agenda and advancing it in an open way.
All of that is true, right? But all of it is not changing. There's a group of people out there who every time Trump tweets something newly stupid, they get newly enraged. I think most Americans, basically, this is all baked into the cake at this point. I think it's important, deeply important, for conservatives to criticize Trump when he requires it. When Trump does something bad, we should say it out loud. We shouldn't.
Yeah, when Trump does something bad is not when he beefs up our border wall, of course. When Trump does something bad, he beefs up our border wall, which is overall nonsensical and, a symbol of racism or whatever. But when Donald Trump fucks up, according to Ben Shapiro, is when he actually gives the game away and says Mexicans are rapists. That's what Ben Shapiro is upset about. Not the fact that the underlying policy of like weaponizing ICE against law-abiding abuelas and shit, that stuff is fine. That's actually why Ben Shapiro is voting for Donald Trump. Okay? That's it.
Hide that. And that's why I've been calling balls and strikes on Trump as a president since the day he was elected.
Totally.
But 2020 is not 2016.
Balls and strikes, like as recently as 2 weeks ago, when Ben was like, oh, well, Donald Trump really didn't mean, stand back and stand by to the Proud Boys, which is otherwise a white nationalist militia group. But also the Proud Boys aren't all that bad, but like they're kind of bad. And oh God, that was Ben Shapiro calling balls and strikes at a time when it's not even certain that Donald Trump's going to get reelected, so he doesn't even need to fucking defend him. But he was still calling balls and strikes in that capacity. It's bullshit. He never actually did call balls and strikes, and he never will.
Everything that is bad about Trump is already part of the system. It's already part of the new normal, for better or for worse. And me avoiding voting for him in 2020 doesn't change that. Third, and most importantly, the Democrats have lost their fucking minds. They've lost their minds.
Here we go.
So have members of the mainstream media. So have members of our bureaucracy. So have members of academia. These people must not be allowed the mechanisms of power.
Using child separation as a deterrent strategy is not insane, but actually calling it out is. Having concentration camps built at the border and also around numerous parts of the country is not crazy, but calling them concentration camps is deeply anti-Semitic. Right, Ben? We are the ones who have lost our minds, right? Not the side that is openly doing fascist agitprop on a daily basis. Yeah, it's the Democrats that have lost their minds, actually. Sure, there are some Democrats who have lost their minds, lost in the sauce, get upset at unreasonable things even about Donald Trump when there's so many more reasonable things to be upset about. Sure, there are Democrats who literally believe in blue anon in the form of everything I hate is a consequence of Russia and Vladimir Putin, rather than addressing the pre-existing racial wounds that this country's always had, because that's too much. It's too much of an issue. That's too large of an issue to actually tackle. Systemic racism is too hard to deal with. So maybe everything is Vladimir Putin's fault and Donald Trump. So, those guys are crazy, certainly, but the difference between me and Ben Shapiro, of course, is that I know that those guys are crazy and I shit on them regularly, or at least make fun of them. A lot of times they are just well-intentioned liberals who've lost their minds. People like, for example, who keep saying Obama's cages. Guys, I criticize Barack Obama for his horrific immigration policies. 3 million immigrants deported is not exactly a positive, progressive thing. I don't give a fuck. This is not a good talking point for you to address here. I shit on Obama regularly, okay? Regularly. Shut the fuck up. Also, building the cages is one thing, but using child separations as a deterrent strategy very openly is an entirely different level of brutality. Okay? Let's keep
most
going.
crucial institutions, from corporate America to the universities, they've been corrupted, top to bottom. And
Corporate America is corrupted with liberalism. Just like our college campuses are, is a 2016 era Gamergate era take, but it still works with the anti-SJW idiots who are now at least a little bit older and more boomer-like, rather than the radicalized 16-year-olds who are now at least 20 and in my audience instead had recognized their past self as a buffoon who believed in Sargon of Akkad. Ben Shapiro is still, of course, going on with that rhetoric. Where are the Marxists? In the words of Slavoj Žižek, where are the Marxists, Ben? Where are the Marxists? Okay? Where are they? Are they on college campuses? Who's the real Marxist? Is the blue-haired, gender queer SJW college campus freshman? Is that the person that has any sort of tangible power in American politics? Are you really trying to make that argument, Ben? What a pathetic, silly argument when Donald Trump and his administration has completely dismantled American institutions and have offered significant tax cuts and also are personally responsible, just to wrap it up with a neat little fucking bow in the end of his 4 years of brutality, for 230,000 Americans dying from an otherwise preventable disease that we absolutely could have utilized spread mitigation techniques on. But instead, Ben Shapiro's own outlet, his very own outlet, like the people that I argued and debated on television, whatever the fuck that guy's name was, Michael Knowles, were still advocating against mask wearing. And they still do, if I'm not mistaken. I think Michael Knowles, Ben Shapiro's second in command, still thinks wearing masks is fake and phony. So very cool from the intellectual integrity titan Ben Shapiro here, acting like Donald Trump is not the crazy one, but it's the Democrats that are crazy. And it's actually a power grab to utilize smart, reasonable strategies to stop the spread of coronavirus. You know, communist strategies like the one applied by Jacinda Ardern in New Zealand, or communist strategies like what South Korea did, Vietnam, Singapore, Japan. Virtually every other country, especially in the Far East, has done a significant job, a much better job than we have. We have shown our ass to the world. The entire Western world has really shown how poor of a job they've done at dealing with coronavirus. But America has has done a remarkably poor job. And if you cared about American nationalism even, or national security for that matter, you would recognize that bio-warfare is going to be the next wave that absolutely destroys America. You don't even really need someone to purposely try to poison us with something. We will probably kill ourselves because half the country is anti-vaxxer, and nearly 30% of the Republican Party unironically believes that Democrats are eating babies and are pedophiles who like to eat babies and working with the deep state. So it's very cool. This is Ben Shapiro's party, by the way. No matter how much he tries to present himself as an intellectual giant or a reasonable person who uses fact and logic, this is his Republican Party. This is what Ben Shapiro lives in, and this is the shithouse that he built personally.
Giving them power over your lives, more power over your lives, huge mistake. The Democrats are no longer the party even of Hillary Clinton or Barack Obama. They're the party of Bernie Sanders, and they're just wearing around the mask of Joe Biden. They're the party of Rashida Tlaib and Ilhan Omar. Joe Biden is a Potemkin village of a candidate. He is
that why every single liberal outlet that supposedly is fucking crazy shit on Bernie Sanders and, what was it, 3 times during the primaries after it seemed like Bernie Sanders was winning in the primaries early on, that they called him a Nazi or likened him to a Nazi, likened his followers of the brown shirts, said that he would execute people at Central Park. This was all MSNBC, by the way. This was the leading Democratic mainstream media outlets that were shitting on Bernie Sanders. The same Democratic Party personally said openly in a New York Times article that they were willing to lose the election to Donald Trump instead of have Bernie become the candidate. They said that they would put on a weaker candidate if Bernie Sanders did not meet the threshold of necessary votes, that they would use that opportunity to spear dick someone entirely different as the candidate. So remember that. These are all things the Democratic Party did, and everyone basically had to sacrifice themselves for the so that Joe Biden could be our wonderful candidate. So it doesn't seem like the Democratic Party is all that interested in socialism, or Bernie Sanders for that matter. But what do we know?
Not a bulwark against radicalism. He is a facade for it. Everybody knows it. That's why Bernie is touting him as the most progressive presidential candidate since FDR. There's a reason that Noam Chomsky is on board with Joe Biden. Right? I mean, if you just watch this stuff.
Yes, Noam Chomsky is on board with Joe Biden because Noam Chomsky thinks that Joe Biden is going to be an anarchist president. I'm Ben Shapiro, by the way. I am the leading conservative intellectual. I believe personally that Noam Chomsky is actually going to it actually believes that Joe Biden is going to fucking bring about an anarchist utopia. Come on, Jack. There is no way. Ben Shapiro's ass is routinely jealous of all the shit that comes out of his mouth. There is no other fucking explanation. I mean, how? How can you sit there and pump out in rapid fire succession so many psychotic things? What's even more damaging and scarier is the fact that people fucking believe it. I mean, if I were to look through,
His name
look at
is
this.
Hasan.
Well, 7,000 dislikes, but 126,000 likes. The left is not voting for Biden. They are voting for not Trump. Scary. As an English German, I rate Trump
His
for
name
how he
is
put ISIS on
Hasan.
ropes. What? New Yorker for Trump in 2020. The Democrats have lost their fucking minds. Best line of the video. Okay.
Scared the hell out of you. Today's Democratic
Also, by
Party.
the way, how the fuck can Ben Shapiro talk about how Donald Trump is not a threat to our institutions when Donald Trump literally spent the last fucking month of his presidency, instead of campaigning appropriately or passing a stimulus bill that he personally wanted, instead of doing any of that, he literally chose to spend almost all of his political capital before he literally got fucking COVID himself because he's a big, wet, dumb baby. He spent all of that time undermining mail-in ballots, a practice that he himself personally engages in, a practice that his Republican Party criticized them on because of states like Utah and Florida that also engage in mail-in ballots. Universal mail-in ballots is a thing in these states and has worked successfully. So Donald Trump utilized that as a talking point to literally undermine the American democracy beyond what Republicans routinely engage in, which should be okay with Ben Shapiro, of course, like, I don't know, making sure that as many black people as possible are purged from the voter rolls, or closing down polling stations in African-American neighborhoods and brown neighborhoods and poor neighborhoods in an effort to suppress the voter turnout. Donald Trump has done that and then some.
Excuse me. I'm sorry.
As a matter of fact,
I'm
even
out of control. I apologize
California GOP has gone so far as creating fake official ballot drop-off boxes. Donald Trump talks
His
about
name is
election integrity and
Hasan.
election security in an effort to undermine election integrity and election security, and then turns around and tells the California Republican Party to continue doing felony voter fraud or felony election fraud openly, by the way, with fake mail-in ballot drop-off locations.
Is not even the Democratic Party of Barack Obama circa 2008. Barack Obama circa
His
2008
name
supported
is
traditional
Hasan.
marriage. Barack Obama circa 2008 was not openly in favor of packing the courts or getting rid of the filibuster.
I'm confused. I thought Ben Shapiro wasn't anti-gay marriage now. So why is he bringing up the fact that Barack Obama was for traditional marriage and then snuck that in if that wasn't such a bad thing? Anyone who considers that to be a good thing would never bring up the fact that Barack Obama had a different position, right? In an effort to make an argument about how Joe Biden is lying about his positions and he's actually going to harm America and change his positions later. Unless you literally think that the Obergefell decision was bad and wrong, but you're too much of a pussy to admit it now because you want to keep going on the Rogan show and not be known as a fucking gigantic bigot.
Barack Obama in 2008 used to speak about personal responsibility sometimes. Like, all of this is just gone. The Democratic Party is now the party of radicalism.
Sometimes.
The simple mandate for the Democrats is this. They now believe in cramming.
Where is the personal responsibility for all the CEOs and corporations that engaged in stock buybacks instead of having some cash on hand so they could withstand some sort of storm like coronavirus. Where's the personal responsibility? Where's the moral hazard in the eyes of Ben Shabibo when it comes to gigantic stimulus, gigantic relief packages being offered to corporations or trillions of dollars being pumped to the stock market? There is no moral hazard there, of course. That's just regular order of business. The moral hazard is only applicable to the poor people who need money to survive. We will still reap the benefits of that, of course. That's why Donald Trump can turn around and be like, our recovery during COVID was really great in the first month. The only reason why the recovery or maybe retail spending was up 17% in the first month after COVID peaked was because of the $600 additional in unemployment insurance, which Republicans still, in the last moment, tried to take off the stimulus bill, which Bernie Sanders nobly and bravely defended. Anyway, incredible stuff from Ben Shabibo, though, of course. Continue.
Down their perspective on everyone they can via any force that they can control. They believe that you should be forced by law to violate your religious beliefs if it conflicts with their social views. They believe that the science says we have to destroy the free market in the name of the environment. They say that unborn...
If your religious beliefs believe that slavery is justifiable, then yes, the federal government should be able to say, no, your religious beliefs are bullshit. It doesn't work that way. I think the same goes for people who refuse service, for example, to gay couples or adoption services, for example. Ben Shapiro claims to be pro-life, and yet he does not really care about the babies that come up afterwards. It doesn't matter. Then the baby has time to pick up their own fucking bootstraps and survive on their own in the wilderness. And what I mean by that, of course, is a provision from the Obama era that the Trump administration completely unrolled that allowed Christian adoption agencies to refuse to discontinue adoption services to LGBT parents and still get federal funding. So that was pretty cool of the Trump administration to do that. Pro-life, by the way, you know, and there's so many kids in foster care that still need parents, so many kids in orphanages. Ben Shapiro turns around and says, religious freedom over pro-life. I'm pro-life, but I also hate the fucking kids that are in orphanages that could potentially go to a loving home. Ben Shapiro also has said in the past, if you recall, that a heterosexual marriage, a two-parent household, is not built equal, and that a heterosexual two-parent household should take precedent, should take priority in the adoption services over two-parent households with gay parents. There's no study that shows that Ben Shapiro would be right about this, but it doesn't really matter. I digress.
Born babies aren't babies, that men can be women. And if you disagree with any of that, you're a bigot, you're a homophobe, and you're a terrible person. They believe that your right to keep and bear arms should be heavily infringed, if not outright abolished. They believe that due process comes second to intersectional identity, that we shouldn't judge you as an individual, we should judge you based on your racial group. They believe that America is systemically racist, rooted in sin and evil, founded in 1619, not in 1776. They believe that
Amy Coney Barrett is such a girl boss, though, right, Ben? Isn't Amy Coney Barrett such a girl boss? I mean, Trump can't possibly be racist. We watched the RNC where they front-loaded that shit with as many black Republicans as there are in the entire fucking electorate. But hey, what do I know about identity politics, Ben? Republicans do identity politics regularly. They do it all the time, and they do it in the ironic way that they shit on liberals for believing in identity politics, a way that no one actually believes in identity politics. That, oh, sweaty, sorry, this person is black, so they understand racism and you don't, is literally, in most circumstances, more commonly adopted by the Republicans themselves rather than the Democrats who don't believe in shit like that and have a more nuanced approach to race in this country. But what do I know? Also, Ben Shapiro personally says that systemic racism does not exist, so I feel like he doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about regardless. Also, of course, this is Ben. I can't be a Nazi or I can't be alt-right, despite the fact that I've literally gotten alt-right shooters to go shoot up a mosque. I can't be alt-right because I'm Jewish Shapiro. So there's that, too.
His name is Hasan.
Every single disparity in America can be chalked up to racism and bigotry and America sucking. They believe in racial, sexual orientation quotas, overt discrimination. They believe in a hierarchy of victimhood. If you're low on that hierarchy of victimhood, you should shut up. If you're high on the hierarchy of victimhood, you can say whatever the hell you want. You will never be held accountable. They believe that economic freedom should be curbed in the name of income equality. They care far less about growth and prosperity than they do about some bizarre notion.
How is that a bad thing?
The hell you want, you will never be held accountable. They believe that economic freedom should be curbed in the name of income equality. They care.
Yeah. I mean, that part isn't even bad. He's just saying it in a snarky tone. Here, let me do that again. Liberals believe in bringing about economic equality, even if it fosters or inhibits economic freedom in the form of corporate deregulation. I mean, that's crazy. Yeah, no, that's a good thing, Ben. That's literally a good thing. Just because you're doing the fucking straight face, staring into the camera like a little sociopath baby who just killed a fucking rabbit for the first time and got the taste of blood doesn't change the reality that, like, that's literally a good thing. You can do the, I'm angry face when you're saying it, but that doesn't change that that's literally a good thing. Yes, economic equality is more important than corporate freedom. I think corporations are way too fucking free, Ben.
Far less about growth and prosperity than they do about some bizarre notion that equality is its own good.
Growth and prosperity is an idiotic notion. Again, they care far less about growth and prosperity. Then why did America experience the growth and prosperity that we all take advantage of to this day in a war economy, or at times when we had limited economic freedom and that the entire might of the American industry was working with a singular goal? The greatest leaps that we've made, beyond the artificial ones, of course, in the stock market, have come as a consequence of post-war economy and extremely high marginal tax rates for the corporations and wealthy, and at a time when we actually had labor unions and a lot more regulation. So that was, or not a lot more regulation, but at least a lot more labor regulation.
His name is Hasan.
Good. They're complicit in a culture war on anybody who disagrees. They seek to ruin anybody who stands in their way, and they will activate the media. They will activate social media.
Literally describing Republicans. Again, literally describing Republicans. Also, chat, the reason why I haven't addressed any of your fucking takes this entire time is because you're a bunch of little fucking babies, okay? This is what I do. This is, of course, what I was going to do. You guys wanted me to watch this video. Shut the fuck up. If you don't like me addressing Ben Shapiro's 8-minute takes as quickly as I possibly can as he fucking machine guns bad faith arguments over and over again, then get the fuck out of my chat. Jesus Christ, you little fucking babies.
They'll activate their friends in academia to get all of that done. Meanwhile, they'll make room for Antifa and Black Lives Matter. They will cheer the rioting and the looting, or at least they'll go along with it and refuse to condemn it. But if you go to church during a pandemic, you are a danger to society. If you go to grandma's funeral, you're super dangerous. But if you are out there rioting and looting and burning things, that's just...
Why is it that Ben Shapiro is not consistently upset about Donald Trump's massive outdoor rallies? Why does he not have that same energy? Oh, wait, it's because when you're outdoors and you're mask wearing, you don't really spread coronavirus as much as you would if you're indoors without a mask. There is numerous empirical evidence to also back up this point of view. Ben Shapiro could literally find them on his own if he wished to. I've talked about it a fuckload of times at this point, that those riots, or rather the Black Lives Matter protests, did not spread as much COVID as I even thought that it would, because when you're outside and you're wearing a mask, for the most part, it doesn't peak in COVID cases in the exact same way that it would if you're indoors and back to regular order of business as the economy opens up and people are not wearing masks or refusing to wear masks like they were, especially in the peak of the COVID, especially at the peak of the COVID crisis, as we reopened the economy too early and we suffered the consequences of that. Now, if that wasn't the case, then why the fuck did libertarian-ass Texas even force to close down the economy once again after they reopened too early?
There's some just a philosophy, guys. It's not a movement. It's not an organization, as Joe Biden said. They literally will not even condemn Antifa. Okay, Antifa is a terrorist organization. They will not.
Antifa is not an organization. It's an act. And also, I would be a little bit more thankful for anti-fascist action, especially as a Jewish person. I'm just going to say, especially considering that a lot of the original Antifa are Jewish people in fucking Germany. What a weird take. from a dude literally wearing a yarmulke
His name
while
is
shitting on Antifa.
Hasan.
I mean, have you no fucking shame? Have you no sense of self-worth or decency that you are so consistently ready to fucking side with fascists that you forget about your own goddamn history? What the fuck, dude? What is that, a fucking prop on your head? Or do you not recognize what anti-fascist action is about? Holy shit.
His name is Hasan.
Condemn it. They will not condemn Black Lives Matter protests that escalate into rioting and looting. They think that there's no relationship whatsoever between an ideology that suggests that America is at root evil and that every institution in American life is infected with that evil and the rioting and the looting. On foreign policy, the Democrats want to kowtow to Iran. They want to re-enter the garbage.
Iran was following through with the denuclearization agreement that numerous other European countries were also following closely. If you ask Iran and if you ask international authorities, they all said openly that Iran was following through with the denuclearization agreement, which was probably Obama's signature foreign policy accomplishment. And in an otherwise sea of violent actions and destabilization that continued under the Obama era, that was actually one good thing. And of course, leave it up to the Republicans to fuck up the one good thing that Obama actually was able to put together. Not only that, but Democrats also facilitated in destroying that deal themselves. Just to shit on the Democrats here a little bit too, so you don't think I'm a biased partisan cuck or something. They themselves also added sanctions on to Iran, the Iranian government, despite the fact that they literally kept following the deal of the previous agreement, even though Donald Trump ripped the agreement in their fucking face and then advocated for further sanctions. But why did liberals, with the exception of Bernie Sanders and a few others, vote in favor of adding additional sanctions to Iran, despite the fact that they were following the denuclearization agreement? Well, it's because they also said we were going to add sanctions onto Russia. Very cool by the Democrats to undermine Barack Obama's signature accomplishment in foreign policy. Let's keep going.
Paris Accords, they want to make nice with China. They've threatened to...
Using the Paris Accords, which is otherwise just symbolic, as a bad thing is so fucking strange. But then again, this is, if your house is going to be underwater, why don't you fucking sell it? Shapiro. It's Ben, sell your house that's about to go underwater to Aquaman, Shapiro. So, of course, you know, that's the best take he has in regards to climate change.
Destroy the Electoral College, pack the Supreme Court, abolish the filibuster, add states by simple majority to vote.
I'm going to refer to what Ilhan Omar said earlier tonight. Pack the courts, right? No one has packed the courts as successfully as Donald Trump. Ben Shapiro literally just said right here, we're at 750. I think it was right here.
Donald Trump has governed pretty conservatively. I thought he would not be conservative in his governance. I was just wrong on that.
He literally said that he loves that Donald Trump successfully was able to put in originalist judges. Okay? He used that already. He used that as a talking point for why he was successful. That's packing the court. Republicans used to say Obama's trying to pack the court when Obama wanted to appoint judges, which, of course, Mitch McConnell and the Republicans stopped and undermined that effort every step of the way. So Ben likes it, again, just for everybody who doesn't understand here, Ben likes it when Republicans put originalist, or i.e. racist judges, because originalism is fucking bullshit. It's not real. Textualist interpretation is bullshit. It's just again, an intellectual patina on racism and reactionary politics. So I'm not going to ever have an argument with you on that. None of the originalist Supreme Court justices are actually originalists when it comes to fucking dismantling labor laws and shit. That's not, you know, there is no constitutional precedent to half the shit. Like, oh yeah, the constitutional precedent to fucking, you know, build 800 miles of pipe over indigenous land, right? Anyway, whatever. Fucking originalists. But as I was saying, Donald Trump was successful in court packing. Ben Shapiro likes it when he does that. But Democrats are bad when they want to court pack themselves. It's bad. It's good when the Republicans do it. It's bad when the Democrats do it. That's exactly what Ben Shapiro's entire point of view is. Also, let's not forget, just like I said, I was going to point out Ilhan Omar's take here. Remember that Republicans have lost 6 of the last 7 popular votes, but have appointed 6 of the last justices. So that's a really cool thing to always remember. 6 of the last justices were appointed by Republicans. So, you know, fuck you, Ben Shapiro, and fuck the Republican Party. Where was I? 450 or 750?
However, between an ideology that suggests that American, they will not condemn it. They escalate into rioting and looting. They think that there's no relationship whatsoever between an ideology that suggests that America is a political tool. In fact, they've even said they want a congressional committee to use the 25th Amendment to get rid of a sitting president. They seek to centralize all power in the executive branch, and they hope to overrun the powers of the states.
Look forward to Ben Shapiro unironically applying the 25th Amendment when Joe Biden is president, if Joe Biden becomes president, inshallah. But can't wait for Ben Shapiro to actually make that argument, because it's going to happen. Republicans don't care. They have no morals. They have no principles. It's all a lie. They just want to win. And to some degree, I actually respect them for it, because at least they win. Whereas Democrats, well, we're cucks, and we are destined to lose in perpetuity. I personally believe that it's on purpose, but that's an entirely different point that I'm not going to be getting into in this video.
They're aided in all of this by corporations, the mainstream media, and pretty much anybody else they can get their hands on. They've created a social structure dedicated to ostracizing anybody who dissents on leftist dogma. If you vote for Trump, you are evil. Your friends should stop talking to you.
Yes.
You should stop talking to your own parents.
True.
Maybe you should be fired. Certainly,
Absolutely.
people should stop.
Okay, maybe not get fired, but yeah, no, you should be publicly humiliated and embarrassed for voting for such an embarrassing person who clearly demonstrates that he does not give a shit about you. Well, maybe not Ben Shapiro, because Ben Shapiro is relatively wealthy by lying to you, conservatives who listen to him, that only make like, what, a measly fucking salary year in and year out. You guys, you're not on Donald Trump's team. Ben Shapiro is. Ben Shapiro's gotten to a point in society where he has enough financial wealth and security by literally lying to people like you and raking in the ad dollars. But that's a different point. Donald Trump is not on your side. If you vote for him, you're probably voting because you're an idiot or because you're a racist, especially at this stage when he really hasn't done anything for you. And as a matter of fact, has been horrible because that's how Republican policies are. Donald Trump is a regular Republican after all. He's just more mask off about his opinions, and that is what triggers a lot of people, and
His
it's
name
stupid,
is
but
Hasan.
at least be honest. If you like Donald Trump, it's probably because you like the racism that he does.
Treating you like a human being. So here's the deal. I'm voting for Trump. You don't have to love Trump's character. You don't have to like his Twitter account to vote for him. You don't have to approve of the crazy or bad things that he says or the way he often acts. But if you care about the Constitution and economic freedom and the security of the United States, you really don't have a whole hell of a lot of choice. You should vote for Trump. You should certainly vote against Joe Biden and a Democratic Party that is running completely off the rails and now threatens the integrity of the Republic if they are given the levers of power.
There's some whores in this house.
Threatening the integrity of the Republic if given the levers of power. I wish, dude. The last note I will end this on, and of course this is going to be going on YouTube, so hi YouTube, please subscribe if you like this video. Editors, please put this video in the beginning, at least with this little clip. Hey guys, if you like this video, please subscribe and also ring that bell. We post videos on here on YouTube every single day, so I hope you like all of this stuff. And you can follow me on Twitch at twitch.tv/Hasanabi to see this stuff live and view it with 25,000 other individuals who are yelling at me in the chat right now for spending way too much time on this Ben Shapiro video. Anyway, the final note. What was the last thing I wanted to say about this? Okay. Ben Shapiro is a liar. He is a crook. He has no moral foundation. His only guiding principles are reactionary politics and really cruel and unusual punishments being doled out at anyone for their liberal points of view. He can turn around and tell you that he actually cares about gay marriage, but we all know he doesn't. It doesn't really matter. He will adopt his positions. Unlike some other conservatives, he's at least smart enough to change his point of view when he knows he has lost in the marketplace of social conservative ideas. Most other conservatives don't do that. But ultimately, that's all he does. He's just a reactionary piece of shit who justifies his horrific worldview by saying he's Jewish and it's his religion. And I think that's really fucked up for all of our Jewish comrades who have been fighting for justice in even radical terms all around the world and also historically. So what a shame. Shame on you, Ben Shapiro, for painting Jewish people and the religion in a bad light by trying to act like one of the more reformist groups of people are actually neocon reactionaries like you. Anyway, so